You know, we have Infinity Chasers literally a couple of days away at this point. And you know what we haven't done yet? We haven't done a predicted metagame discussion on kind of what I'm expecting to come from this archetypes. Probably next week we'll do an update after the weekend of regionals. We'll kind of pull some information, see what's going on. You know, I'm curious to see how the deck will go, but, you know, we need to have our obligatory, is Infinity Chasers going to change the metagame discussion? So, without further ado, let's dig on into this bad boy, shall we? Well, if you've been under a rock like I did, I didn't realize it came out this Friday, but we have Infinity Chasers on us, and that says a lot about this set. Now, I've been using the Zodiac tournament to kind of see what these archetypes could do. I was curious to see some of the raw potential that these decks could do, and I'm going to be honest with you guys, I'm pretty disappointed with what I've seen so far. Even in the OCG, these archetypes didn't really make the splash that most people were wanting them to. And I guess it says something about the new archetypes, because like you kind of have to push a ban list in their favor for these archetypes to kind of take off the ground. And I mean, like I said, that is one case leading to another, but I mean, we're not gonna make a ban list specifically for these. I hope not. So the first one we're going to talk about is the big machine archetype coming out of this set. Now, the cool thing about this machine archetype was, well, they actually gave the whole machine archetype something that they wanted. Well, Earth machine support, first up, is always fine in my book. Monsters that can special summon themselves, and they kind of gave the archetype, well, what I like to call the big fat Xyz treatment. They just kind of came out of nowhere, said, you know what, your archetype is going to be based on the concept of ranking up, which on paper looks really cool, I guess. But man, oh man, like when you look at this archetype, you're just like, oh boy, like, yeah, I can get free Xyz rank ups and start climbing the ladders. All right, that's good. But like, and there's super big boss monster, the big 4,000 guy, or yeah, Mr. Big 4,000. And with the link 1 for protection on it, like, yeah, the deck's got some really cool tricks, but like, at the end of the day, how consistent is Infinity Track as a deck? My answer is it's not. And it's very unfortunate because, like other decks that want to approach and use rank 9s and things like that, oh yeah, absolutely, there's cool potential there for that. But when I look at this archetype, I see failure. And I like to be optimistic because I saw Earth Machine support, and I'm like, oh boy, like, we can do things. And of course, like, you can combine this archetype with Yugioh, which is actually really cool in the long run because, you know, Yugioh X with Yugioh gear, being able to slam out guys, climb up ladders and things like that, you get to combine two engines together, and you get to make progress with it. But Yugioh has long since been power crept in the competitive scene. Now, for a very casual deck, this deck absolutely will make a splash on a fun competitive scene. Something for tabletop if you guys want to have fun with new concepts and things like that. On a regional level, unless something crazy happens, this deck does not have the potential to do anything. I repeat, this deck does not have the chance to, you know, really come out and shine because the archetype itself is pretty limiting within its own confines. And it sucks to say that, but what'd you expect? You made an Xyz archetype that's not named Zodiac in the year 2019. Call it what it is. I'm sure somebody in my comment section will correct me if I missed something, but what I've seen so far, even in the OCG, like, the deck hasn't made the splash we were hoping for. Now, in the next corner, we have Witchcraft. Now, I'm very excited for Witchcraft because, honestly, for what this deck actually is, there's a lot. Okay, so when you make an entire archetype of Lone Fire Blossoms, that all take a spell to discard to fuel their magical girl transformation into the next form. Yeah, that was really cool. Like, I loved that concept. The thing that I didn't like, however, was the big ones can't tag down, or even tag for that part. I guess kind of when you become the supreme witch, you know, you don't want to look back at your past and climb the ladder. So, in terms of lore, okay, cool. The concept, Lone Fire Blossoms and things, was great. Now, they balanced the deck very weirdly. And for this archetype to have been absolutely bonkers, we needed all of the spells to be able to recur back to the hand during the end phase, even if you use them. I think they were very harsh in terms of card design, just specifically being like, okay, you can only recur the card back to your hand during the end phase, or you can apply the effect to search. Now, don't get me wrong, the continuous support that they gave the deck was really fucking good. Like, yeah, that was good. But you have a case of a deck that requires its own spells to do things. The large monsters, they don't do enough in the long run. Now, here's the interesting part about this. I've seen this deck do a couple of things in the OCG, which Optimistic Robbie, you know, being the old green guy he is, wants to say that this deck could potentially make top 32. Now, I've seen Trickstar hybrids with this. I think it's kind of the way that I think people want to approach this deck, is use the Trickstar engine to reincarnation your opponent's hand. Cute little things like that. I don't know if that will be the concept that sticks, but, you know, granted, ideas are on the table. You know, you may as well try them out. But I'm going to be bold, and I'm going to say that this deck could top 32 a regional. That's a very big, far-fetched stretch for kind of how fair this deck is. But in the first week or two, people not knowing how to handle the deck and things like that, I think the deck can take some very free wins. What it does, because those large boss monsters, while they may be bricks in themselves, I gotta believe that one person has to have a consistent enough day to be able to go, you know, 6-3 with the deck somewhere. You know, come on, guys. You know, optimism here. But with bricks in the way that the deck is, unfortunately, it does hinder itself. But I do think it is regional, like, top 32 worthy, and that's saying a lot. We'll have to wait and see if Witchcraft actually lives up to my hype. I might be putting more stock in that deck than I actually should be. Now, the last one I want to talk about is Evil Eye. Now, we've seen 2 Evil Eye variants, I believe, come across the OCG, maybe 3. And I'm going to just outright say, I don't think this deck is going to do anything until we get Manhunt. Now, I am putting a lot of stock in Manhunt. I think that card is absurdly broken for what it does. But Evil Eye needed something like Manhunt to kind of make the deck good. And you're probably like, well, Robbie, this is a discussion to see how the deck's going to impact the meta. Why are you telling us about Manhunt? Being able to protect your monsters from effects whilst being able to, you know, control what your opponent's doing in one card is something that Evil Eye needs. The deck is very much a stun platform. And it's really weird because, like, they gave the deck the vampire treatment where they got good spells and traps, and unfortunately just kind of like the rest of the cards stuck outside of Fraulein. But with Evil Eye, you know, when you get that one good equip card, the fact that you have 2 very good monsters, like, it's kind of like they took the concept of vampires and Sky Strikers. You play your limited engine, you put in your stun cards, and you're good to go. Now, I'm going to eat my words for a sec here. I'm going to say that this deck also has a top 32 chance pre-Manhunt. But after Manhunt comes out, though, I think we could see this bad boy sitting at the dinner table with other decks in the format. Because, once again, with variants, there has to be enough people out there that can play this deck post-Manhunt to do well with it. You know, top 32 worthy is a very good expectation for this deck. A top 8 spot, very quite possibly, post-Manhunt, post-control aspect of the deck being explored. Originally, when I saw this, I was like, oh boy, an equip-based archetype. This is going to be neg, and then I kind of started reading the cards. I'm like, you know, like, if they balance this correctly, we could do well, and I think they did a very good job. I do think out of the 3 archetypes in the set, Evil Eye is the best. Of course, you know, people are looking at witchcraft, they're like, well, you know, waifu tax everywhere. Like, it's an interesting concept nonetheless for what they did for Evil Eye. But man, oh man, post Manhunt release, maybe post a ban list, the deck will do something. But like right now, I think witchcraft is in a much better position than Evil Eye. God, I'm gonna regret those words later in my life, saying that witchcraft is better than Evil Eye pre Manhunt. Like, somebody's also gonna comment and be like, Robbie, why do you think that it needs Manhunt? Manhunt's bad. Have you read that card? Have you seen that card be played? Because it's really good. I'm just saying. So what do you guys think about my predictions? You know, they're just predictions. You know, hard data will back me up in the future when I'm completely wrong, but it'd be something to look forward to. So guys, please comment down below. Tell me what you guys think. And, well guys, Big Papa Robbie's out. Peace. The ride never, well, truly ends. Thank you, patrons. Without you guys, I don't know what I'd be wearing in these videos. I might be a truffle shuffle incident all over again. Guys, please also check out Vancol40 for some awesome Vanguard content. Some other interesting stuff you might find up here on the left or in the description as well. Thanks for watching.